the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
And I had a feeling it was going to happen again. I was going to flub the FrostCast numbers. Let me just get that right out of the way. Welcome back, guys, to FrostCast on Winter Wolf's Den. This is episode 31. We're going to bring King Z and get right underway because there's a doozy of a story in nerd news this week. And I've already seen it be recanted in a couple of places already, as expected. We already have new waves of videos undercutting the whole thing. But first, a bit more somber news that King Z is going to drop on us.
Yes, we're going to start off today's episode with some sad news. Michell Trachtenbreg passed away today at the age of 39 from reports saying that she was found at home by her mother. The police believe that there has been no foul play, and they marked it as dying of natural causes, but they still haven't announced the cause of death. But it has to be believed. They do believe that it had something to do with the liver transplant she had done late last year and might have been complications from that. But yes, she passed away at 39. You might remember her from shows like Gossip Girl and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Euro Trip, and her breakout role as Harriet the Spy.
Oh, that's right. She was in Euro Trip, wasn't she? I totally forgot.
Yeah, she was part of the worst twins of all time.
That's right. That's right. It's sad to see when young folks, don't get over their medical issues and the demons that they have or whatever might have happened to us. So rest in peace, Michell Trachtenbreg. But on the lighter side of news, what do we have today? We got some birthday news, I think. King Z,
we have a birthday news. Here it is. We would like to say happy birthday to our Oracle. She will be celebrating her birthday this week, and we just want to say happy birthday to her because she does such a great job here. She's the backbone behind the two doofed balls in front of the camera. She keeps it straight. She does our fact checks. She pulls up videos when we need her to, and just an overall great person. So we wanted to say thank you and happy birthday to you.
And a very happy birthday it shall be. There we go. I worked hard on that graphic. Let's save that for next year. Don't put that in the recycle bin. Let's keep that. All right, dude. You want to let's keep with the format that we started rolling with last week. You want to do some news from the 90s? Because I saw some good ones in there. Some good ones this week. You want to pull me up on that? And I'll get the read and get your take.
All right. It's This Week in the 90s.
We need that. We need that soundbite. We got to record that song. We got to get some goofy 90s music, maybe some Nirvana, like that we don't have to pay for because we're not paying for that. But maybe we could get that thrown in there. But this week in the 90s, as I was scrolling down the list, I'll start with music because there's a couple of doozy little bits of news here. It was February 26, 1995 that Selena held her final concert before her untimely death, which was big sad. She was massively popular.
Yeah.
In pop circles, especially in Spanish pop circles, things like that. But more probably closer to our side of the music sphere. It was actually in 95, I think, but I got it included on the list just because I like the tune. The Notorious B.I.G.'s Who Shot Ya came out this year. Came out this week in 95, which is one of my favorite Biggie Small songs. He's separating the weak from the obsolete. That was a good tune. Great beat. Boom, 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 boom. Strike. Yeah, we can't actually hum out the beat on the show. But that was a good tune there. Of course, that kicked off all kinds of that intensified all kinds of rivalries that were already existing in the world in American rap music back then. Now here's the movies. This is where I wanted to get your take. Now, these did not all come out today, this long ago, but when I ran the list, when we started the topic last week, these did not pop up. But I'm sure you've seen all three of these. So I'm going to fire a match just so I can get your love-hate relationship with at least two of them, I'm guessing. Billy Madison came out February 10, 1995. And that's one of my all-time favorite.
Adam Sandler's first ever movie.
Was it the first one? Oh, it was. That
was his first. That was before Happy. First.
That's right. Billy Madison. Love it. Back to School. I can't probably even do that. Can't even probably sing out any of that stuff. Also in February 95 was Quick and the Dead. which I know
Yep.
gets some flack because it's not a real air quote Western, but like I love Quick and the Dead. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Lots of star power in that.
That was Leonardo DiCaprio, Gene
he was the kid.
Hackman, and
Yep.
Sharon Stone.
And also Russell Crowe.
Yep.
And also he was the preacher. And there were a couple of other ones that were in there. I can't remember off the top of my head, but those are the 4 big ones. And I think that was before I'd seen Russell Crowe in anything. That's way before Gladiator, which I think was like my first, oh my God, Russell Crowe's like an action star or whatever. And then I think it was the last one that came out this week. It was February the 3rd, 95, was In the Mouth of Madness, which is being in nature. And I think that was making all the waves amongst literary fans and folks that love that kind of cosmic horror. Probably got a good kick out of that. But yeah, some doozies that came out a long time ago. That all came out within the span of a week. You know what I mean? And that's what we're talking about all the time here is like when we look at our year ahead 2025 and we're like, okay, 1 looks good, 2 looks good. Those are 4 months apart. And then there's another good one 6 months later. And then there's 2 good ones in December. Like they had 3 movies I'd go see in theater that came out in the same week.
Yeah.
I feel like that's sorely missing from what we do here. And then there were a couple of big banger games that came out. It wasn't this week in 95, but the closest they could pull was in April in 95 was Mortal Kombat 3 is already that old, which
wow.
Old
and I remember Mortal Kombat 1. I remember hopping on my bike and we would ride to the X and me and you would drop about $10 to $15 worth of quarters into that machine.
About as much as I could get away with was somewhere between 5 to 10. I don't think Dad ever set me up with 15. But yeah, no, that was good. And that extended into MK2 by the time over at the X, because I remember running the table over there on some MK2, which was always a good night out. And then if I had an extra buck, I'd play some NBA Jam. Because you got to play some NBA Jam. You know, you got to get your boom chakalaka on.
Yeah. He's on fire.
He's on fire. And the backboard breaking in 16-bit slow motion will never not be cool on like the most regular ass dunk you've ever seen. Like, what can you do? But there was one other game. This one you might remember this one too, because I don't remember you and I talking RPGs a lot, but I know my younger brother was into it. But Chrono Trigger came out in like early March of 95, and I know if he was on, he'd be talking for about an hour and a half about Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, and how there's never been a remake, and when can I get a remake or a remaster? He's still waiting patiently for that. Oh, hey, look who's here! Travis is here.
Yeah, Travis and
read him up.
Yeah. So how's it going, guys? Well, it's going pretty good. Thank you for joining us. Favorite Mortal Kombat character? I'm going with Stryker, Kraut, Smoke, and Jax. Mine would be either Scorpion or Reptile. That's who I played with a lot.
King Z kicking them old school. You've got a couple of late additions there from MK3 and onward. Stryker got good. Stryker started in 3, but definitely he had some up game in MK9. That was one of my favorites in 9. And the Cyber Ninjas were always dope. Sector, Cyrax, and Smoke always good. Jax was fun because I like the arm rip fatality. That was one of my favorites. But I'm gonna go with King Z on this. I was a ninja guy. You give me yellow, blue, or green, and I was probably running the quarters up on the dash for about an hour. Those were some of my favorites.
Yeah,
but then you could flex out of them if you wanted to screw with somebody and pick a non-meta.
I think the later versions of Jax, like Mortal Kombat 3 and on, he was better. But when he first was introduced in 2, he was like the intro guy, the guy you beat first. Yep.
And he was tough. He was a tough character to play, I think, for newbies because he felt slow and clunky. He couldn't really anti-air with like a back, like a roundhouse kick. All the ninjas could kick. Anybody jumping in, you could slap that kick up there. He had a tough go with that. But the gotcha and then the face punch, classic.
Yeah.
Can't get out of that.
The double jump back punch.
Double jump back punch. The ground punch. Another solid Jax move. But you're talking Stryker, though. The fact that this dude had a taser in an MK game, that'll never get old. That was one of his fatalities. That'll never get old for me. The dude had a taser. But they didn't give him the gun until MK9. And I always thought that was missing. Like, he's got the baton. He's got grenades. He's got a taser. He's got a bomb squad fatality. Hook this dude up with a gun. And then they gave him like a fucking Uzi in like MK9. It was hilarious. In MK. Like, I don't know how that works.
Stryker was cool because while everyone was
button mashing
their combos, he just took out a gun and shot.
That's what I'm saying. That came later. That was for sure. But if you worked in some button mashing of your own, you get to do some sick stuff in MK9 with the baton takedown into some combos and setups and things. Good character. They basically made him Batman in his ending, which is kind of fun. Became like the masked vigilante with super MK powers.
Fortless
We could do
victory.
we could do a show on MK. I don't know why we haven't discussed this before. We probably should look into that.
Yeah. Before we go any further, we should get into our lead topic of the night.
It's a big one.
This is a huge one. This is the
Again.
removal of Kathleen Kennedy as the president of Lucasfilms.
Oh.
That's right. She's finally stepping down. It is believed to be taking part this year. It was supposed to happen last year from reports that I was reading today, that she even had exit interviews set up to do a final Q&A as she stepped away. They even said that she wanted to leave with on a good note right before Skeleton Crew came out. And Skeleton Crew, I would say, met with mixed reactions, because I mean, we enjoyed it as a fun kid adventure, but it wasn't that big blockbuster.
That's the difference. I think it was positive reactions, but nobody watched. I mean, the quantity just wasn't there. But I think people typically enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the story's been around for like 4 years now, though.
Yeah, and her tenure has been with some successes, with stuff like Andor, Rogue One was under her watch, but a lot of misses of the sequel trilogies. And then, of course,
every other show.
Well, Mandalorian did pretty good.
Dude, I hate giving her these 3 wins, because I know that all three, the 3 things that these things have in common are typically her lowest fingerprint on the 3 things that are successful. Not involved a lot with Andor, not involved a lot with the Mandalorian, and somehow, some way, she, even though she got the brunette British chick self-insert into the movie, like the character features that accompany that template for Kennedy didn't bleed into Rogue One the same way they did with all the other shows and into the sequel trilogy. So I hate giving her credit, but I mean, I guess you forced my hand. She did also ruin Willow and Indiana Jones. There's that. So mixed bag for sure, like you were saying.
And for all the people who do complain about her taking over Lucasfilms, she was handpicked by George Lucas to take over. So
Jesus had Judas, dude. Just saying.
But contradictory reports came out before we were loading the show that she's not, she might be stepping down as president, but she is not done with Star Wars, though she's still planning to retire because she is 72 and she's looking to be at home more. She is still having producer input on the Sean Levi movie and the Simon Kinberg trilogy.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And this is the problem, dude. These people never go away. And that's kind of why I left the title for the stream the way I left it. Because I think a lot of people, number one, a lot of people get preemptively excited whenever somebody they don't like sounds like they're departing. It seems like an easy thing. Oh, the kid you don't like is off the bus you're on. Fantastic. The kid you don't like's out of your class. Kennedy's leaving Lucasfilms. Who cares? You know, like, I'll believe it when I see it, number one, but more importantly, like you just said, if she's not actively removed from having influence on projects, or if it's not a clean sweep of all her cronies that are probably going to step up to replace her, what does it matter? We've traded out somebody that was 72 for somebody that's going to be 45 and have the same ideals and idiot politics that she has. Like, this doesn't really help the cause. The shit's still a smoldering pile of bantha poo. Like, it is what it is.
So, which goes to talk about what is the future, what is the way forward, who is going to step into this role. Now, of course, the odds-on favorite is David Filoni will be moving from creative director to president of Lucasfilms, and one of the reports said that it could be as a co-president with either Jon Favreau. And I did not catch the second name that was thrown in there, but there's also said they haven't actually done any interviews, as things have not have set dates in progress. So they might have someone from the Disney executive side ready to step in as well.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't need to see Dave Filoni anywhere near any other additional positions of power. Like, that dude's run his course for me. A lot of his stuff has allowed the politically motivated agenda items to bleed in, and I don't need any more of that. I think the ship has probably sailed for Jon Favreau. We saw the output on Mando season 3. His name's all over that, so I can't ignore that. You know what I mean? It's not like they stripped his name from it. He was involved, and it kind of bombed. So either he doesn't care, maybe he's just not interested in taking on the stress of it, possibly.
Well, from what I was seeing is that he didn't have hands-on, like he was with season 1 and season 2. He was just kind of there, and because he was part of season 1 and season 2, he his name stays on it.
Oh, true. So if he was hands off, though, but okay, so that's more weight on not wanting Filoni if that was his maiden voyage and converting the show more to, well, it's not the Mandalorian you've been watching, it's this Mandalorian now. You know, it's the Bo-Katan show. Like, okay, whatever. But again, I don't think that this staffing situation is what I'm going to call it, right? This comes up a lot in all kinds of businesses where as you lose people from leadership positions, or if you lose people that have a bulk of experience in any given situation, you're left with an institutional lack of institutional knowledge, but then you're also left with qualified candidates that might be interesting, not wanting to step into the shit show for better or worse. So let's say there's just like a fantastic executive from like AT&T or something that has excellent skills, that can draw talent in, that knows how to keep projects on schedule, that knows how to manage budgets. They don't need to be a giant Star Wars fan. I don't care at this point, really. But like that executive, like Executive X, isn't going to be interested in taking this job with this kind of public scrutiny, with these kind of financial issues, and with the overwhelming hyper focus, not only of like industry people, but of like fans. Like, you know, Executive X is going to be like, you want me to roll in here and be the subject of like 50,000 YouTube thumbnails a week every single time there's like a setback in casting or production, or, you know, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber was 2 shades off of the wrong green and now all the nerds are pissed. Like, that's gonna be a tough sell. So they're gonna promote from within, and then we're gonna get a Kennedy crony, and that's like my nightmare. That's nightmare fuel.
Well, I mean, they could go the way of DC Studios. They could bring in someone like a James Gunn, be like, here, this is your horse now. You make it run. And
that's one of the rumors I heard, is that the name being thrown around was your buddy Kevin Feige. I heard that rumor in a bunch of places today, and I'm like, but that dude, like, if people were like, oh, that indicates stability, that's a good pick. I'm like, have you watched phases 4 and 5? Have you seen anything on D+ in the last 2 years? Like, that dude needs to go away and enjoy his money too. Like, I don't need him to just switch brands. Like, why would I want that? Like, why would that ingratiate me to come back and spend more money?
Well, I mean, a new start could bring in new ideas, a fresh start type thing.
Yeah, from me, from a creative team that's not involved. This dude would just, why wouldn't he just move his entire staff into the other building and then do the same stupid shit? You know, promoting the same agenda-filled crap that tanked all his good stuff. You know, I don't know. That's because I saw that name come up a lot, and I was like, no, I'm good with an unknown at this point. An unknown that comes in, scraps I mean, like we need to Doge this situation. You know what I mean? Like, I think Lucasfilm needs the Doge team, and not to like find any money hidden, which we know the Acolyte hid like $250 million. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it, but we don't need that kind of scrutiny. I just need like the brakes put on like everything, like clean and transparent. No, we're not doing a Rey movie going forward. No, Rian Johnson's not getting a trilogy. Yes, we are doing the Sean Levy movie. Yes, we are doing what was the Mangold, the guy that did Indiana Jones, the Dawn of the Jedi one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Something Johnson.
No, Rian Johnson was the TLJ guy. I think it was James Mangold, I think, that was doing Dawn of the Jedi, the one with the 10,000 years in the past, First Jedi.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay, fine, do that movie, whatever. But like, let's stop talking about the other 57 things and just start fresh and give it like a 2-year break minimum. Because you've mentioned that yourself about taking the time off.
Take the time off, get things reset. Bring Timothy Zahn on as a primary writer for everything.
Yeah, to write him a big check, big check, yeah, and then get out of his way. Like, that's the thing, and that's the other part too, man. Is that I feel like if they keep an internal candidate to promote them into the executive spot, right? Anybody else that already didn't want to work there or that was blacklisted against working there, people that have functional effing knowledge of this franchise, they have a particular dedication to the EU and know those kind of stories that exist outside of the Skywalker lines, that could do a competent Rogue One movie, that could do a competent Tales from the Cantina, Tales of the Bounty Hunter kind of movie. Those people never get considered for these jobs, and that's the problem. You know, those pitches are never heard. It's always pitched by committee of recycled crap that really should make a lot of money, but if you're not making a lot of money, it should tell you something's wrong.
And that's
You
what
know?
Star Wars has been. It has been the
Right.
least successful IP that Disney has bought. It still hasn't made its money back that they paid George Lucas for it.
Right. I was seeing stats the other day on toys and merch sales, and somebody had a good one that was from the toy line is it Kenner? They do like they do the mini action figures, and they do all the little vehicles and shit like that. Jenner or Kenner, I think it's Kenner. That's all the old stuff we used to play with.
Yeah.
They haven't put like their biggest year for Star Wars was like 2012. So it's been like over a decade since they've had like anything worth crowing about in terms of toy sales. And what happened in 2012? Wasn't that the year they got bought?
Yeah, it was the year they bought, and then they announced the sequel trilogy.
Right. So people were hyped. There was hype there for it. And of course, that pans out when we're talking about $2.5 billion on TFA in the theater, but everything after that, slow.
There's been a gradual decline with a couple peaked here.
But we throw them out like outliers, just like Daredevil and Wolverine. Like when we scope out on a graph, Marvel's phase 4 and phase 5, it's basically this, but then there's No Way Home, there's Deadpool and Wolverine, here's some middling ones like Shang-Chi, but everything else is fucking toilet.
And Guardians.
There's a couple, but the slope itself is like down. And I'm not even talking about the streaming stuff. The streaming stuff is indefensible at this point in terms of numbers outside of what? WandaVision, kinda. Loki season 1, kinda.
Well, Loki season 1 and 2 are still two of the most successful streaming that they've done.
I consider that the Hiddleston effect for them mostly.
And actually, Hawkeye did actually pretty well.
I'd have to check some numbers on it. I would have lumped it in with the Miss Marvel, like underperformed the She-Hulk stuff, but maybe not. But you know what I'm saying? If everything is on that kind of trajectory, that doesn't bode well to just shuffling pieces internal. It's why, let's use the sports metaphor. We're going to do it on Unmuted, right? Here we go. Unmuted segment. Like when you take over as a GM on any professional sports franchise, like what do? You pick your own guys.
You clean house and you bring in your guys.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that the coach you had or the coordinators you had or the athletic team you had, they might not have been awful, but you need your guys. You want folks that are loyal to you, that share your vision, that are going to jump on board, the new wagon in town and go. Doesn't have to be anything personal.
Hey,
exactly
someone
right.
new to the show.
Hey, welcome. And I'm just going to say Pape until you tell me it's Poppy. I'm going to call you Pape because I'm bad with names. It's a toss against the wall. See what sticks. Dude, exactly. You're going to throw the chili and the spaghetti against the wall and hope something does. I think it's desperation time. And thank you again for joining us for the chat. We like to do these little back and forths as we try to sort these things out here with absolutely no inside knowledge or industry experience on the level of Star Wars IP. We're just fans. We're just fans that just want to see him do better. I think that's the part that hurts the most too. Is I don't want it to suck. Yeah, so keep poking it with the stick. Dude, I don't want, and I know we're going to talk about this in depth in a minute. Been called, dude, me too, brother. You call me anything but late for dinner. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome. You can stay. The minute we get some memberships up, you're getting one for free. There you go. Yeah, we're going to talk about Andor too, because we got to do the trailer thing. But this isn't exactly my point. Like the evidence for fans not wanting to be cynical exists. Like I'm living proof. I want Andor to be successful. I don't like the fact that it's got record low viewing numbers with like the Acolyte. Like that hurts me on a personal level because the story of quality is not told entirely in viewership number. That's a fallacy. You know what I mean? That does not compute. So I don't want season 2 to bomb. I want Ahsoka 2 to come back and be a good show. I don't want the Acolyte to come back. I wouldn't mind Ahsoka being good. Let Rosario Dawson play a more energetic Ahsoka with interesting connections to the Force. Let her do interesting things with Sabine as the apprentice. Let fucking Ezra be Ezra from the cartoon. For Christ's sake, let him be better than give the lightsaber away 5 seconds before he needs it.
And do a straight spin-off series of Braylon Straw.
Oh, dude, seriously, he needs, and they should, because we got the new guy.
Yeah.
Rory, not McElroy. Rory McElroy. No, it's not Rory McElroy. The Hound from Game of Thrones. Like they could do that because I think hands down, like I can't recall finding a poll, a comment section, anything that didn't rate him in like the top two interesting things about that show. Top two, probably the number one thing in most of the things that I read on most of the sites I go to and channels I check out.
All right.
And what else would you put up there?
Well, with that said, who would you want to see take over Lucasfilm as president?
I just Executive X. I don't have a celebrity pick for that, because I don't think that it's how we move. We can't move things forward by just tossing around big names. It's kind of like when people do these casting things, and people always answer Henry Cavill or Idris Elba. Like, those are just the two people that come up for everything. Like, if it's a white guy, it's Henry Cavill. If it's a black dude, it's Idris Elba. And I'm like, there's 70,000 other people out there. And that's why I said, like, you could get me an executive that isn't necessarily a dyed-in-the-wool Star Wars fan, just somebody that understands the business. And that person will just be like, maybe we should throw out the market research that we did that said we're going to try to convert a traditionally male brand into a female brand, because that will also get us the females while preserving male viewership and patronage. It did not. It's a failed experiment. That's the proof is in the pudding.
I mean, you have to respect the challenge, though, trying to build new fans.
Yeah.
And you'd have to see the challenge of it, because a lot of people wouldn't agree with the that type of change. But I think the way they did it, and just a blatant disregard for the original fans.
Yep.
Like, if they did it where they mixed it together, like if they told the sequel trilogy and you threw out Mara Jade with Luke Skywalker doing their things, you would have got best of both worlds. You got the diehard fans, and you would have opened up a whole new demographic of fans who didn't know who Mara Jade was if you didn't read the Heir to the Empire series.
Exactly right, dude. We do. Guys like us, we're always down for the torch being passed. Always. That was never in question, because we have, and she didn't know this. We have that clipped famously elsewhere. She was unaware there was source material like books and comics and cartoons and video games and board games and all kinds and toys. She didn't know. Like, no, we knew, and that's why we always would have been down for old man Luke with Mara Jade, or God forbid, Luke and Mara Jade in their fucking prime in a movie, and then introduced sequel trilogy characters for a proper torch pass, so you could sunset these characters, have them come back as cameos. But the trick with the missing thing that I'm babbling over it now because now I'm annoyed. The thing they had screwed up from jump was that lack of respect for original characters. That's where they screwed up, is that they could have cultivated new fans, but they needed to work that through us. They needed to work that through legacy fans who were going to continue to be hyped. So you kept those numbers. And then we were going to bring in our kids. We were going to bring in our God kids. We were going to bring in our church groups, our athletic teams. We were going to bring in new people to give you more. You know, I saw that somebody else today was talking about Doctor Who real quick, just as a connection to this story, and then we'll jump into the Andor trailer. It was Jodie Whittaker or whoever played the other Doctor before, the current one, was making the point that it's fans' fault that these things fell off, and that it's that it not only is it on us, but that it wasn't always us that made the show. And I'm like, you people must live under a rock if you don't think it's folks exactly like us that have made these franchises and carried them. It's exactly people like us. And the reason they've stuck around so long is because we create the next generations of super hyped up kids that want to see these things. You know, so this happens in all these franchises. Until somebody gets away from abandoning that kind of respect for the legacy, it doesn't matter who the executive is.
Yeah. It's not us who changed. It's you who changed.
Right.
And you're not providing the same quality. You could change with the times and try to be more wide to a wider demographic. But you need to keep the quality up and keep what people fell in love with to begin with.
That's 100% right. It works like this, basically. Like we do this a lot here where we flip the prism. If we were talking about writing romance novels or doing trash romance TV or whatever, we'd understand that our core demographic are probably women between 30 and 60 for all those kind of novels, those kind of shows. If we took over your brand, your biggest line of romance novels, the last thing we would do would be to subvert any of the genre tropes or lay low any of the characters that those fans loved about romance novels. If there's a central line of books or whatever, I'm not a fan, I don't know. but like that approach of ours would be the same. Our trick would be keep everything that my mom loved about that, and then find ways to get my dad to also buy that book or to watch that show. And that's what Star Wars hasn't done. The fact is everybody was always welcome to consume a Star Wars product. Always. You could always jump on the Falcon and go for the ride. But now, no. Now everything has to be specifically about you, one rando person in the whole of them that only fits a smaller percentage of the total population. And it just doesn't work that way. And they've learned that the hard way. They've lost the market share to prove it.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into some brighter news. Let's talk about Andor Season 2, one of the shows that we've highlighted as something good that Lucasfilm Star Wars has put out over the since they own it since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So Season 2 is getting ready to drop in April, and they released their first official trailer.
This is crazy.
Up. Yeah, right here.
This schedule is nuts.
Yeah, this was rumored from the post that I took this from. They said this is an unofficial release schedule. What some people, then I saw it on another one saying that this is something that they're aiming for to give you the best of both types of streaming, like the weekly release and also the binge release at the same time. But also, I don't think they wanted to lock up 12 weeks of Disney Plus release as well, because they might have something else planned during that time. Who knows? But this will be interesting to go through 12 episodes in 4 weeks.
It will be, and it's definitely it's a bold plan, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. We should have rolled that clip. Oh, well, I didn't have dodgeball ready. It is interesting, and I wonder if I'm going to take a slightly negative turn on it. I wonder if they think that it didn't come out well and they're just trying to get it out of the way. You think that? But I don't have anything to go by at all to really put bank on that. But it's such a wildly different release structure that I wonder if it's an all hands on deck. Let's just move past this, but move past it into what? You got no movies. You got no other shows anywhere within striking distance, Star Wars wise. But why else would you do it unless you just thought it would be helpful? Yeah.
So do we have the trailer loaded? All right, let's get that trailer rolling. Let's get our reactions.
Sure, my volume is down. Whoop.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win? Last night I had a dream that the world had turned around. All our hopes had come to be.
Such a badass.
Oh yeah.
Now.
And a new character with him? Is that the sister?
What a swell.
I don't know.
That's the rebels stealing ships. That's what that is. Oh, snap.
Remember this moment. You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight.
Vampire Cassio. Yes. Okay.
Dude, if I wasn't excited before, I am definitely excited now.
I saw you with the head bob.
I was digging the music. I don't know what you said when people were complaining about the music. I was into it. This looks good.
I'm split on the music. I like it. I don't know that it belongs in a Star Wars trailer. Like if this was just like a Ocean's 11 movie, like that works. Like the vibe was good. But you know what? It's not Star Wars per se. So maybe I just got to be a little bit more open to the music that I wanted in the trailer. Maybe the sweeping orchestral stuff doesn't work when it's not Jedis and mystical and Sith and that kind of thing. Maybe that's just the vibe that I associate with Star Wars, but it worked. Definitely did. Pate, my man, they think they redid the show in a smaller arc, so it's paced better. It's a bit off season 1. Dude, definitely was. We've said before on the channel that if you want to watch Andor season 1 for your first time, skip altogether. What was it? The first 2 episodes where he's doing the search for my sister thing, and just literally jump in after that.
I don't think you could really skip in the first season
I
because
would skip.
it's set up the same way as their release. If you really think about it, they did the 3-story, the three show arc. Yeah. And you had the intro where you had the 3-story arc, and then they had the hey, thank you, man.
Jesus, great. Here we go. Here we go.
It
the
had
support
that
in the chat has shifted. This is the King's Week.
But it was that type of setup. It was 3 episodes for the intro where you learned about everyone. You had 3 episodes of the middle. You had the heist 3 episodes. Yep. It was always a 3-episode arc. So I think the way that they're releasing it is the way that people saw season 1, and like you said, that it's probably smaller arcs. So that's why they release it, because they did say that in this one there's going to be huge time jumps in between.
Now,
so
I'm
I
glad
did hear
you
stuff
mentioned
like that.
Did you hear? Because this is the thing. I'm glad you totally just jogged my memory to bring it back up. Is that it's not only is it big time jumps, but they're frequent, and that it's supposed to be multiple years between each of these batches of episodes. So you get to see the progression of the rebellion leading into Rogue One, and then obviously ends at the beginning of New Hope. So that I think is a clever way to play it. Like when they reduced this series order, because remember this started off with what, a 5-year plan or a 5-season plan, and that kind of got got ixnayed real fast after Andor's release. Yeah. Think so. I think they are.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think with this episode, which I'm very happy about, is that we still don't see one space wizard. We don't see one laser sword. We're seeing the other side of the rebellion, something a lot of us really wanted to see. Like we jumped right into the rebellion at like almost its peak. Like it's a major offensive unit at the time that we find it in the New Hope. So now we're seeing them build, and like we saw the intro of it in Andor season 1, and you had the shadows, and you had Sarsgaard just playing an awesome spy, two different style of characters all together. You had Mon Mothma starting to play both sides.
And then you had the money that they needed. That's her entire arc there was funding the rebellion to turn it into that war machine that you get in A New Hope. It looks like from this, maybe this is the actual beginning of them acquiring competitive hardware that they're going to deploy against the Empire. That'd be dope as hell.
And I would not be surprised if we see Senator Ontero, Jimmy Smits, reprising that role in this. I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything, but I see he might be able to reprise that role in this.
I got to put the counter up. It was Bail Organa.
Yeah.
Yep. Like Senator Arturo. I think isn't he in Illinois? I think he's one of your guys. So he's not us. There was some pretty good specifics in that trailer too. Like the little action bits. One of them that stood out. It was darker. It was grittier. It looked like it was Andor, like jumping over a barricade or some kind of whatever it was in the middle of a firefight. That's the stuff that I liked most about Andor season 1. Was the prison stuff was fine. The getting the gang together was fine, but it was really the heist and that dirty back city that he grew up in, where his stepmom eventually died. And she was like, "To hell with the Empire," and he had the fight in the street where his girlfriend was and taken it and tortured. That middle cluster for me was peak Andor. I love that. And then of course it's offset, like you said, with the politics with Mon Mothma, with Luthen Rail, and also with the ISB. I want more ISB with the was it Daedra? I think was the blonde woman's name. I can't remember her last name.
Yes.
The short hair. And she was kind of like,
we saw her in the trailer.
Yep. And her boss, though, I want her boss to come back because he was hysterical. I love that. And I want to see them play their little internal backstabbery, because remember, she was trying to outperform her associates to get more sectors to be in control of and kind of climb the ranks. So they did a lot of interesting stuff in different areas of Star Wars that they don't typically get into with the shooty and the won't won't. We avoid some of those things in the show, and I think that's necessary. You can grab Travis for me. I gotta do the water thing.
I'm hoping to get an episode dealing with Galen Esro meeting Urso.
That's Jennifer's father from Rogue One.
Yeah. And the cargo pilot learning their deflections to find Saul.
Remember, they sent him on the mission and they knew it was going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And they sacrificed a bunch of those guys. I do not. Dude, Travis scene out. Dude, this is the worst FrostCast ever. My God, this has been a rough night. I do not want more cereal eating Captain Crunch with his mom. I said that while we were watching. The minute the mom popped up on screen, I was like, all right, guys, listen, unless it's as good as the penguin talking to his mom, drop the character. You might even have to drop Cyril because his not American Psycho, just straight Norman Bates Psycho, which probably won't be as good as Penguin Psycho. Penguin Psycho was good.
Yeah.
That show's creepy. I still feel dirty at the end of that show.
So what are the odds of this actually being, well, I have high hopes that Disney might be having back-to-back bangers, and one starts, ends, and then Andor picks up with Born Again and then Andor.
Right.
Yeah.
In my head, I heard Star Wars. I'm like, there's another one.
No.
Another. I'm like, I don't think there is.
No, Disney with both MCU side and Star Wars side having back-to-back bangers.
Listen, we've talked. Listen, what have we talked about when it comes to restoring these brands? Oh, dude, really? Travis says she knew we didn't like Captain Crunch, so made sure just to leave the berries.
Oh, and the purple milk and
ever had the all berry box? You guys have the all berry box where you are? They sell that up here.
Yeah,
or nothing but berries or whatever. I'm not a fan. I like the crunch. I like cutting the top of my mouth with my breakfast cereal. So I'm in.
I mean, who doesn't like eating fiberglass in the morning?
Just chew it all down. It's basically like dip. Course correction for the brand. We talk about that a lot, where we say, they could Deadpool Wolverine Andor. It could be the best show they ever had. 12, 15, 20 million people Game of Thrones style every week. Wouldn't matter. You need to string together multiple things. Do you think stringing together multiple things can happen across two different lines of business?
Yes.
When you have a success for Marvel and a success for Star Wars, does that bleed into each other? Does that propel both brands simultaneously, or do you need each line of business to have multiple hits in a row? I would tend to think that.
I think you would actually need both to have multiple in a row, but this could be the start.
Great start.
Because these are the two shows that will come after. One was Kevin Feige saying that he needed to take a step back. He needs to look back at quality,
quality control,
and maybe stop putting stuff out so quickly and start listening to what people are telling him, other than the talking head just saying money, 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 money. And I think if they do this, Disney as a whole could start building back that trust in which they lost by throwing crap after crap after crap at us.
It could be, because I've heard nothing but positive stuff about Daredevil so far.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's done any early release, non-spoilery reviews of Andor, but I don't know if they might not even do press copies of a show like that. Nobody I've heard.
It usually doesn't. The screeners usually don't get released until about a week before the actual release, so people can start getting those early non-spoiler critical reviews out.
True. So we'll have to just keep our eyes peeled for that. No, the trailer did have some cool stuff in it. Like I said, we saw the things I like. Whenever there's a TIE fighter doing its thing, blasting shit in a hangar, I'm there for that. And they had two of them. They had a regular one and an interceptor. When the stormtroopers were in it, there was an interceptor up above that looked like it was suspended. Like, I'm with that. That's cool.
Dude, Andor had a killer line to start it off. Do you want to fight or do you want to win?
I'm with that. I hope that's not just an ADR line for the trailer either, because they do that. They effing do that, and it annoys the hell out of me, man. I feel like there should be some kind of class action repercussion that every time one of these movies says some cool shit in the trailer, and I go, okay, all right, I'm hyped, and then.
So let's get those dates up one more time, so everyone knows when this is coming out, because I think everyone who's here really wants to see this. I think everyone who loves Star Wars will actually enjoy this. Rogue One is probably the most successful Jedi movie of all time in Star Wars. Andor is probably the most successful, critically acclaimed series other than Mando season 1.
Yeah.
So I think getting these dates, which I would have moved it personally, since you have a May 6th release of 3, I would have moved it to May 4th and had a 3 release on that day.
Dude, they haven't done anything on that day since buying the effing franchise. No 40th re-releases, no tie-ins to anything current, like Crapolite, Ahsoka, whatever. It's like, I feel like they don't get the obvious ever.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. It's
a layup just given to them.
Saying they flub it, dude. It's like flubbing it in a drill. Like, come on, dude. The coach is you're cooked, man. So one of the things that we talk about all the time too is run times on episodes, and how the 22-minute cartoon thing just doesn't work for us for live action almost across the board. Every time they go that route, it just seems like they flub it all. Andor was not prone to that, if I recall correctly, that they ran a more 40-minute Game of Thrones, 45-minute long episode week to week. I'd have to go back and check our episode counts, but I'm pretty sure they did that.
Yeah, they were consistent. I think they were right around the 40-minute mark. So.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So again, like we were saying at the top of the show or at the top of the segment, if you're going to get 3 40-minute kind of deals, you're getting like what's a typical, a prequel length or a sequel trilogy length movie thrown at you like every week for a month.
Yep.
And if each one of those three-piece plates of Star Wars there is a whole movie, maybe that is a better way to consume not a movie. You know what I mean? That might not be so bad, especially if it imagine if it wraps up with like a banger that does set up something else, like something we don't know. I don't know what it would be given the time frame, but because I feel like it just ends at Rogue One anyway. So what could they set up? But something cool.
Here's how Andy Serkis' character Tino factors back into the story. That would be interesting to find out, because the last we saw him is when they all jumped out and he couldn't swim. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets into season 2.
Is he in season 2? Is Andy Serkis like, do we know he's cast for work?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I haven't looked into it yet.
Yeah, we have to take a peek at that, because he was one of the better parts of the show.
Survive past Road One or even the Iron Giant style episode. Feeling my Martha has a memory back to put it in a new drawer. True.
I can see that.
Yeah,
that could be interesting, because I think that's the only way you can get away with something like that, because we know the biological characters, they don't make it off that beach on Scarif.
No, they do not.
They get nuked pretty hard. But I do love that sequence. It's actually pretty good. It's very Empire. I remember thinking that when we came out of the theater from Rogue One. I'm like, I'm getting Empire vibes here. Like the good guys, they got something done, but like they took a drumming to get it done.
Yeah,
like, they did not escape unscathed.
No, it was not just an easy let's sneak while all they're asleep and they go through the wars and they wake up and it's an empty prison. Oh no, what did we do? No, it was actually well thought out, but there was cost to their actions.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see where it goes. And I think that I don't know that I'd want like literally like a K2 show with like, a new model with like the old memory. Cause I don't know that you want to build a show around like the droid specific. And I don't know that I'd want like the buddy cop movie with Mon Mothma and that character, like in her robo sidekick. I mean, maybe it's like a skit, like that could be kind of funny. I might be down for some of that. But yeah, that's the problem. We say it all the time here, man. This is the problem with dealing in prequel stuff. Like all roads lead to where they lead. And if they all end up with everybody literally dead, there's not a whole lot of hope, but B, you're kind of constricting your storytelling going forward from there. We need to get a jump, True. I mean, yeah, and Travis, to your point right there, the trick here, if this is the final season, or if they get one more, they need to introduce those characters like lickety effing split so they can become known quantities that I'd be interested to follow as episode 4 and Rogue One would draw closer on their timeline. Like if Mon Mothma's assistant all of a sudden becomes a character, or maybe she picks up a bodyguard, or she goes on the run, she goes into hiding, like you said, because the husband, who we know is a kind of a scumbag, maybe he turns her in, because I think they were kind of hinting at that kind of marital divide, if I remember season 1 the right way. There was some strain in the marriage there. They have a daughter too.
Yeah.
That was going to be married off to somebody else to a gangster. Remember that? They were going to marry the daughter off to the mobster.
Mm-hmm.
So they have side characters they can play with. Not all the characters on this show are in Rogue One, like the couple that are with Luthen Rail. I think she's Irish or Scottish. She's got the blonde hair and she's married to the Indian girl. Like neither of them are in Rogue One. So I mean, there are other characters.
Rail's not in Rogue One.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So I mean, there's a bunch of interesting people that they could follow around, but they have to they have to escalate and elevate them in their story for this next season. Like they were just side characters on Luthen Rail's team in season 1. They need to elevate into prominence if they want to carry their own project going forward. But like you said about the scale back on quantity of these shows, I think that these companies are going to be very selective coming into 2025, 2026, where they've been through the rough spot with all the bad content that's been divisive, that has not led clicks, it has put eyeballs, it has not sold toys. I don't think they're going to willy-nilly, as much as I'd like to see it, a Luth and Rail series. I don't know.
I think this will be the end of this arc, because there's not much more you can jam into that time frame, especially if they're doing time jumps. Because my early prediction for this show, for the ends where Caspian Andor shoots that guy to get away.
Oh, in the alley.
One. Yep.
Okay. But see, and that's the part where I knew he was a scumbag, and I didn't like him, and I didn't want him to have his own show, because they tried playing that off like that was his Han shot first moment. I'm like, no. Han shot Greedo, who had him at gunpoint. This dude shot a brother in arms in the rebellion to make his clean getaway. He's kind of a dick. He's not Han. Like, let's not play like he's Han Solo. He's definitely not. Oh, sure. No doubt. No doubt at all. Dying was the point of Rogue One. Absolutely. What you're willing to sacrifice as opposed to no one dying in the main trilogy. Dude, exactly right. And that's why I like the bleak outcome of that movie. I think that's the only way that movie's tone worked, because it was a very dark movie. Yeah. It was very gritty in a way that Star Wars was not through 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3. So I like that. But I'm not I'm not emotionally attached to any of those characters in that movie. Dude, the droid dying in Rogue One was a harder hitting scene than those two dying on the beach for me. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe King got a different take on the deaths of Rogue One. Oh, the blind samurai, not
That's
Jedi.
right.
That was pretty cool.
Not Jedi. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
That was all right. I didn't mind that. It's sad, but also a bold move to build the show around a guy who becomes a worse person at the end. Dude, true. And that is something that I think only the skilled hands of Gilroy's team could pull off. Like, imagine throwing Leslie Headland's team on top of like an emotional project like that kind of a negative character arc where he ends up a complete and total douche. Well, somehow they probably make him all squeaky clean.
You also think that he's been there since the beginning of the rebellion. He was part of the heist that funded. So he's going to be different. It's going to change him.
I can't wait for
So at some point that toll just takes, it just takes a toll on your soul. Of you're not going to be that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kid you were before. And I mean, he really wasn't that beforehand, because one, he was kind of running like secret stuff before, which we saw at the very beginning of Andor. So, but yeah, he just been pretty much just corrupted by the constant war and trying to build a better world, but at the cost of his soul.
Yep. I'm down with that, Pape. That's because KS20 kicks butt. I'm a feather on the wind. I can't wait to see Alan Tudyk step in and revoice the character. I will enjoy that he did appear in the trailer there, which was kind of cool. There was one other part in that trailer that I thought was pretty dope, and the image is now slipping past me. We talked about the TIE fighters. We talked about the combat.
One thing I liked, why you think, is that I like that the look and feel looks very consistent to the first season too, which is really nice.
And we know why
even
that is.
We've
talked about that before. It's consistency. We know exactly why that is, because there's the same team top to bottom is being overseen by the same people top to bottom on that show. They've operated like on an island to create the show. Sorry, breaking. Dying.
All right, so let's it is crazy that he's only 26 and how much he's already been through before the even start of Andor season 2.
Oh, he doesn't one of his lines of dialogue somewhere in there is, I've been fighting the Empire since I was 6. Like, you're exactly right. This dude's a tired soul, but he still shot his guy. I'm not just can't get past that. That's just me. And what else we got? We're running short on time. What we got?
So let's move on to, we were talking about creative control with Kathleen Kennedy being the president. We have a new president of Dcstudios, and he recently did an interview where he confirmed some things. So if you could pull up those comments, 10 big things that James Gunn just revealed about the DC universe. 1, Robert Pattinson is not going to be the DCU's Batman.
Okay. I think we were all pretty much on board with knowing that. And I think the problem is identified very quickly right underneath that with number 2. Matt Reeves has yet to submit a script for the Batman Part 2. Dude, the DCU is starting in 2 months. 3 months. July,
but they are still planning on shooting later this year. They're talking like a November timeframe, so he still has plenty of time.
I don't know, man. That sounds like a Brave New World problem to me. In the making. We'll see. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah. Number 3, Clayface is a full horror film released in fall of 2026.
I could get into that because I've heard the comparisons. I'm not too familiar with the character, but a lot of people were saying this is going to play a lot like the Demi Moore movie Substance, where the Clayface character, who I guess in one of his iterations is an actor that uses the compound to kind of maintain his youth so he can stay relevant, has the body horror effect that happens that turns him into Clayface. Could be interesting. But that brings me to my tonal when I brought up the subject of when we were talking about these topics. It seems like the DCU might be heading for a typical James Gunn scattergram of different tones of things. We're going to get the comedy stuff here, the dark stuff here, the cartoon stuff here. It worked for Marvel a little bit because there's a big tonal difference between Winter Soldier and Thor Ragnarok. But I think Gunn needs to keep himself on a tight leash to bounce all these things together. But we'll see. What else we got?
We got Lanterns. It's connected to Superman, but has a different tone. Like you said, the change of tone.
See, this bodes well because it looks like the Superman movie is going to be big blue. Lots of colors, lots of hope, lots of this. I want a more grounded, gritty Lantern series. It's okay for Jon Stewart to have to rough up some alien scum or mix it up with the reds and the yellows. I'm okay with that when they earn it. They got to get there.
From what I was reading is that like Superman's a straight superhero film where he's there to save the day, where the Lantern is going to be more of like a police mystery, because that's what the Lantern Corps is. So it's going to be more of a mystery type thing where the Lanterns have to work together to figure out what happened.
Listen, man, as long as it doesn't end season 1 with a giant parallax cloud making big brain Brainiac out of another dude, I'm good. Like they just don't do that again. You know, nail the suit. Nail the Green Lantern oath. Like you need that. If you don't have that in live action, like forget it. Like you need that. You know, I mean, I don't need him to go around like I am the night, I am justice, like Batman every 5 seconds, but he's got to get the oath right at least once.
Yeah. The next one is Wonder Woman Paradise Lost remains in development. Now, remember, we heard rumors that this was completely nixed. Like they got rid of it when they came.
Or is this a movie? This
is just
the DCU movie, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So no game tie-in, because I just saw the news that Warner Brothers shut down a Wonder Woman game today.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did hear rumors that this movie was nixed when James Gunn took over, but he's saying it is very much still in development.
You need her. She's one of the big 3. You shouldn't be. I told what I say the other week, dude. Supergirl shouldn't be the second movie. Should not be. It should be Wonder Woman, or it should be one of the other big dogs. It's that might be the first tactical mistake.
Next one is the DCU's Batman is very active development, meaning that they are trying to get that together now, and probably we will see, I would say in the next 90 days, them naming their Batman.
We need okay. That's all right. Hold on. We got a bold prediction there from the King as we come up on the hour. He's talking about the next 90 days, which puts us at what? March, April, May. I will give you to the end of May then to make good on this prediction. We'll call it the last day of May. Will the DCU
name their Batman?
You'll know that because I won't be on FrostCast 47. Anyway, next.
Oh, where did I leave off? Okay, James Gunn is working on a mystery DCU project.
I've heard that with very little detail. Yeah.
And this one, number 8, we all know, we've seen pictures from set that Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is well into production. Like from what I'm hearing, they're like halfway through their days. So they should be wrapping principal photography within the next 30 days. Interesting.
No story details on that yet.
No, just production timeline.
Cool.
James Gunn is deep in post-production on Superman. Yes, we knew that. He said he wanted that extra time. Like they wrap filming and then they want to take a whole year to get the CGI effects proper. So yeah, we knew that one already.
Yeah.
And a second Superman trailer is being prepared. So I'm guessing.
Let me ask you about this. Yeah,
more of a story, probably more of a story trailer, an actual trailer instead of a teaser.
So it's got to be some voiceover. I came to this planet to help protect its people. Blah 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 blah. It's got to be something like that, and not just crypto home and then get dragged. Yeah, right, that's what I need. I need a couple story beats. I don't want to see the big bad. I wouldn't mind the big bad being hinted at. There was so much going on in that first trailer that I don't. We know Lex Luthor's in the movie, but I don't think it's gonna. I don't think that'll be the final fisticuff battle that goes down there.
So my question is, are we going to see the Lex Luthor super suit?
The suit? See, I think you might be onto something there. It's just goofy enough that I think James Gunn throws it in there, because I don't know that he's going to want to have. I don't think he's going to want to do the stupid thing they did with that crap Batman movie back in the day where they had Poison Ivy and then Bane. Remember they had like that hierarchy of villains there. I think that he'll want to keep this as a Superman versus Lex kind of thing with all the other cameo superheroes that are involved. Because I don't think we saw cameo super villains in that first trailer anywhere. They were all good guys, right?
Other than the dragon thing.
That's but I mean, like, but specifically, like, we didn't see. I can't think of any DC villains off the top of my head because I'm
Brainiac.
Thank you. Like, obviously, they're not rolling in Darkseid. Obviously, they're not rolling in any of Flash's rogue gallery or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to a second trailer. I hope it hits soon because I feel like we're halfway between when that first one came out and when the movie's coming out, give or take, like in the next 30 days. I think we're right there in the middle. I think that'd be a good time to at least bring it out and then hammer the marketing leading into July.
Yeah, I think it would be probably early April or late April, right around that summer movie buzz that they'll release.
Yeah, I guess it might be a little bit longer to get out there. That's right. Cool. All right, that's our update on the gun. Good.
Yeah.
I think we've heard that, if I'm not mistaken, about Lobo crossing over from to Superman from Supergirl. But this is what I'm saying about using Supergirl as movie too. Like, I don't think she should be the springboard for anything that they want to keep around long term. Like, she should be a test film with a modest budget that they take seriously, that they do the best they can do, and then see if we can get other characters like that at that 160, 180 million dollar range, and not 250, not 280. Because then you can get all kinds of people involved in becoming fans. Make those movies for little girls. You should make them. You shouldn't make them for 400 million while dumping on Superman. That won't help you. It won't. We've seen it. We've got 5 years of evidence for this now.
Yeah. So also coming out of that same article, they were saying that the theme of the overall DCU is going with the story arc of monsters and gods based off of what was set up in Creature Commandos.
I'll have to go back and watch the rest of that. I forgot to pick it up after the first Friday it was out. It had 2 episodes. I'm going to go take a peek at that. But dude, I think we've come to our time. I think once again with FrostCast 31, I'm going to give a special thanks and a happy birthday to the Oracle. Thank you very much. Happy. And thank you, King Z, for running all the co-piloty kind of stuff as usual. And you can say goodbye to everybody and do our complicated readout.
Well, one other thing I want to push out is that NetSuite's FrostCast will be a special FrostCast as we will be focusing solely on Daredevil Born Again. Since it is a dual episode release next Tuesday, Net's FrostCast will be us reviewing and looking through the whole those 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again.
And then also on that note, then you guys should stay tuned that King Z and I will be shutting down the best of worst of playlist for the week and taking a different look at a Netflix Daredevil kind of retrospective. Not sure if it'll be 2 videos. We could probably get that done in one, I bet.
Yeah, we probably could
get that out sometime on Sunday. So we got a couple of different things going on. But King Z's been looking forward to Daredevil for a year. He got me to buy the graphic novel and take a read. So we're going to go take a look.
I am super excited.
And have a good night to you also, my friend. Definitely take a best of worst of Firefly.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a thing. That'll be a thing.
I'll tell you
that on the thing list.
One part of it is going to be really hard. One side of the best of worst of will be really hard for that one.
Yeah, it'd be the worst because they're all great.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. All right,
boys. We'll see you.
Well, see ya.